My husband threw away my snacks and maternity clothes after birth, insisting I get back in shape, so I took our baby and left without telling him. I, 25, female, started dating my husband, 26, when we were in college. Both of us were health freaks, and we actually used to go on runs together, which is how we fell in love. I was in my 20s back then and could afford to spend a lot of time in the gym, more than I do now with a full-time job and household chores to take care of. My husband works, but he doesn't do any work around the house, so he has sufficient time to go to the gym regularly and work out. We got married around 3 years ago, and while he's kept in shape, I've gained a few pounds. I'm still healthy, but I just don't have abs anymore like I used to when I was younger, which is fine by me. But I guess my husband doesn't really like it, and he often makes it known by suggesting that I go to the gym and lose weight. I used to brush it off and never pay any mind to it because I knew that I was at a healthy weight, and as a working woman, I didn't have the time to go to the gym after a tiring day. And then I got pregnant. So the both of us were pretty thrilled when we found out. He was wonderful during the pregnancy and took great care of me, especially my diet and all that. I gave birth to a healthy baby boy a few weeks ago, and my postpartum cravings have been crazy. I used to have pretty intense cravings for sugar when I was pregnant as well, so it wasn't surprising to me. And I'm still wearing my maternity clothes. They're loose, but they fit better than my old clothes. I'm working from home as well for the time being, so I'm in no hurry to lose weight so I can go back to my old clothes. But my husband seems to have a problem with this and has been bugging me constantly about my weight and body, telling me that I need to hit the gym so that I don't become lazy and get my body back. I've told him that as of now, I have no interest in hitting the gym and only want to spend my time with my son. I've also spoken to my doctor, and she's made it very clear to both of us that there's nothing wrong with my weight. It'll take my body time to lose the post-pregnancy weight, and that's completely normal. I don't need to rush the process at all and can take my time. In spite of this, my husband doesn't want to seem to let this thing go. It might be the hormonal changes, but he's been getting on my very last nerve nowadays with his tendency to keep demanding that I lose weight. I understand that he wants me to be healthy, but honestly, this is ridiculous. I'm already healthy, I'm just not skinny anymore, but he refuses to understand this. I was even willing to ignore all of that, but a few days ago, he did something that really pissed me off. I bought some low-sugar snacks for my midnight cravings a couple of days ago. My husband had seen that, and we got into an argument about my eating habits. I kept telling him that these were low-sugar snacks and weren't harmful, and moreover, I really needed these since pregnancy had greatly increased my appetite. He just wouldn't listen and kept trying to tell me that constant snacking would destroy my health and body and that I needed to stop. Honestly, that was an overreaction, as I'm not constantly snacking. But only some days I get really hungry late at night. I eventually snapped at him and told him that if the experts at the hospital didn't think there was anything wrong with me, then I don't think I need to pay attention to what an obsessive gym weirdo says. He seemed really hurt by that comment, and we didn't speak for the next few hours until I apologized because the gym weirdo comment was out of line. I thought that this little spat would be enough to make him stop obsessing over what I eat, but it didn't. Instead, the very next day, I found out that all my maternity clothes and snacks were missing. I turned the house upside down looking for them, which was quite difficult to do with a baby. Eventually, I figured that my husband might have something to do with it and called him up to ask about it. He admitted that he'd thrown it all away that morning since he wanted me to be healthy, and I'd regret it if I let myself go. I was furious since I needed those clothes. I wanted to wear loose clothes, and I wanted to snack on stuff. He didn't have any right to throw any of it away. I told him that he needed to replace all of it at the earliest, but he refused, saying that he couldn't let me become a lazy mom, which made me so angry that I thought I'd explode. Firstly, I'm anything but lazy. I do the chores around the house, I cook for him, I have a job, and now I also take care of our son. All he does is go to work, then go to the gym, and call it a day. And secondly, what goes on inside my body is completely up to me. He has absolutely no say in that, and it's sick of him to think that he has the right to dictate what I wear and what I eat. So I told him to go to hell and hung up. After that, I packed my stuff and left with my son so that I could live with my parents for a while. I didn't tell him that I was leaving, so when he came back home, he was in for a surprise. He's been calling me ever since, but I haven't answered any of his calls. A few hours ago, he dropped by and tried to reason with me, saying that he wouldn't apologize for what he did as he was just looking out for me and wanted me to be healthy. He seemed genuinely upset and told me that he missed me, but I'm still really angry because he just doesn't seem to realize his mistake. I miss him too and do want to go back, but I also think that he's wrong and needs to apologize to me sincerely first. Not only that, he also needs to restock my snacks and buy me my maternity clothes again since they were pretty expensive. I guess this makes me sound a little entitled, but honestly, I just think that this is the bare minimum to expect from my husband. So, for wanting my husband to apologize after he threw away my maternity clothes and snacks. Update 1. It's been 3 days since the last update, and I just want to emphasize to everyone asking that I've made sure that I'm at a healthy weight, and my doctor has confirmed it. I'm neither underweight nor overweight and can afford to snack and do not need to lose weight immediately. As a matter of fact, trying to lose weight might even make me sick, so I should actively avoid making any drastic changes to my lifestyle right now. I also communicated the same to my husband a few days ago and gave him an ultimatum that he could either apologize and buy me my maternity clothes and snacks, or I'd leave. I assumed that he'd take me seriously then and come to his senses. But nothing of the sort happened. In fact, he suggested that we should probably go to some other health specialists instead and get a second opinion because he thinks that I'm leading an unhealthy lifestyle. He insists that he's right, and I'm the one who actually owes him an apology for overreacting like this when he's just trying to take care of me and make sure I stay healthy. At this point, I really don't know what to say to him anymore. We've been fighting nonstop, and every time he visits, the argument just gets worse. The only reason we're still even together right now is our son. Or I might have filed for divorce earlier because I just cannot take this anymore. I'm already very emotional and overwhelmed nowadays because of the postpartum situation, and in spite of the fact that I gave birth to our child a mere few weeks ago, my husband refuses to just suck it up and apologize. I want to get separated and just get this over with because I don't think we can work past something like this. His criticism is making me really insecure about my body, and I can't afford to get depressed right now. I have to take care of my son and be there for him since I don't know if my husband is up for it. He's been pretty disconnected from his son, and his only topic of interest seems to be my body or my laziness, apparently. I've decided that if within the next few days he doesn't apologize to me, then I'll be left with no choice but to file for divorce. Update 2. My husband came over a few hours ago and informed me that it's been over a week and we're still fighting about this petty thing, which doesn't seem like a very healthy way to behave. I got my hopes up and thought that he'd finally apologize and we could put this whole thing behind us, but instead, he said that I should grow up and just start going to the gym with him instead of continuing to defend my laziness. I told him that this wasn't laziness and that I just had a baby, which is why it was impossible for me to just bounce back and get my body back within a few weeks. Moreover, I didn't really care how much I weighed or how I looked right now since my priorities had changed after marriage and kids, and he needed to understand and respect that. As long as I wasn't dangerously overweight or underweight, I was fine. I just wanted to be healthy and happy, and him being so particular about my weight made me feel insecure and weird about myself. I explained all of this to him as calmly as I could, hoping that he would understand and respect it, but instead, he started complaining about how I'd stopped caring about the way I looked ever since we got married. And he believed that this baby would just give me an excuse to let myself go completely. He told me that to be with someone, he needed to feel physically attracted to them, and his type was skinny women. My not being as skinny as I was in college was making him lose interest in me, and that's why he was pushing me to start working out as intensely as I used to so that he could feel attracted to me again. I just lost it. I started sobbing because of how cruel this was. He seemed really alarmed and tried to comfort me, but I asked him to leave me alone and told him that I was done with him. He still seemed like he wanted to argue with me, but I was so overwhelmed that I just continued to sob, and eventually he left while apologizing profusely for anything that he'd said. I've calmed down since, and he's been texting me and apologizing. But it's too little and too late now. I don't see myself ever getting back with him now, very honestly. He had the chance to fix things with me today, but he continued to make it seem like I was being lazy instead of just accepting that pregnancy takes a toll on one's body and mind. Throughout our relationship, I've always worked 10 times harder than him, and if he can't see that, then, well, too bad. In these past few weeks, I've ended up hating myself and my body, and I keep feeling like I'm worth nothing, all because of my husband. I've had enough now. I can't do this anymore. My parents are happy to have me for as long as I want to stay here since it gives them time with their grandson as well, and I'm due for a raise in a few weeks anyway, so I'll be able to afford a place of my own pretty soon. So I'm pretty comfortable on that front. I just have to prepare myself mentally to leave him, but honestly, he's done most of the work for me by behaving in such a disgusting way. I don't think I have any feelings for my husband anymore, except of course negative ones. I've spoken to a family lawyer, and I'm going to file for divorce tomorrow itself. Update 3. My husband has been sent the legal notice, and I'm waiting for him to find out. My parents think I'm doing the right thing, and so do most of my friends. I finally revealed everything that had happened this past week to my female friends last night, and they were appalled that my husband had been pushing me in this way, especially just a few weeks after I gave birth. They told me that this sort of behavior was absolutely unacceptable, and that I needed to leave him as soon as I could since this was really controlling and unhealthy. And I was shocked that I'd even put up with this sort of behavior for so many years because this wasn't a recent development. Even before I was pregnant, he was always trying to make me feel bad about my body, even though I wasn't unhealthy. Every single time he saw me chilling on the couch, watching something while snacking on maybe ice cream or pizza, he'd look at me all disappointed and tell me that I should go for a run instead. As if I didn't just spend the entire day either working at my job or at home, which belonged to both of us. And every single remark about my weight and body that I'd shrugged off and laughed about in the past suddenly came to my mind. I can't believe I'd put up with this shallow and awful man for so long, and I'm just so glad that I finally decided to leave. Update 4. My husband showed up at my parents' house with the papers and demanded an explanation. I was very clear that I've had enough of this bullcrap and I can't put up with this sort of obsessive behavior anymore, which is why I want to part ways before he ruins my mental health even further. He was really pissed off and dropped all pretense of caring about my feelings and started ranting about how sensitive and stupid I was being. He told me that I would regret this decision when I finally turned into the fat monster that I was destined to become anyway, which really hurt. He went on to call me lazy, selfish, and a narcissist for believing that I was perfect the way I was. He even said that I should feel lucky about the fact that he stuck by me for so long in spite of the fact that I was becoming fat and unattractive. I allowed him to shout himself hoarse, and finally, he stopped. After he was done ranting, I asked him to leave very politely since I no longer wanted to speak to him or even see him. His real feelings towards me had finally surfaced, and I knew that I was making the right decision by leaving him. He told me that he wouldn't back down without a fight, and said that he wanted full custody of his son, as he didn't want him to grow up with a mother who had zero concern for her own health and glorified bad eating habits. He reminded me yet again that I was lucky to have found him, and with my mom's body now, it'd be impossible for any man to find me attractive anymore, so I'd basically end up alone. I told him to leave me alone and slammed the door shut in his face before he left. I've never felt so angry yet relieved at the same time. Thankfully, my parents have been present, and even my neighbors heard him yell all those awful things while he was here, so I'm hoping that these things will hold up well in court during the custody battle. I'm glad that I decided to leave while my son is still so young that he'll barely even remember anything, because it would have been a lot more difficult for him to adjust to these situations had he been older. I'm hoping that this divorce is finalized soon, and I can leave this whole mess behind. Me. Update 5. Things have escalated since my last post. My husband decided that ruining my mental health wasn't enough, and that he had to try and ruin my work life as well. He had the audacity to put up a post on Facebook about how I was depriving him of time with our son, only because he'd suggested that I take better care of my health. This is absolutely not what happened at all, but I've learned that my husband is not above lying and gaslighting. The bigger problem here was that he'd somehow managed to tag all my coworkers in his post to expose their so-called best employee, and within a few hours, of course, the office gossip and rumors caught on like wildfire, and that earned me a summons from HR and my boss. I explained the whole situation to them, and thankfully, they were quite nice about it since they understood the struggle of being a new mom who's having to deal with so much at once. They suggested I take some time off and try to sort this mess out for the time being. I can't believe my husband would stoop so low and try to actively ruin my life like this. I've blocked him from all my social media accounts and even blocked and deleted his number so that he cannot contact me. If I had the emotional capacity or time to sue him for this as well, I'd certainly be going after him. Update 6. This man is shameless. There's literally no end to his bullcrap. It's been some time since I blocked him, and only 2 days until the hearing. I've taken time off work to be with my son and focus on nothing else but him right now because everything else is just stressing me out. He dropped by my house again, and this time he had the guts to ask me why I'd blocked him everywhere. I mean, is he for real? I told him that if he didn't leave that very instant, I'd call the cops, and I was dead serious. To budge, and told me that he was there to see his son and I had no right to stop him. I tried to block his way, but he pushed past me and barged into the house. Luckily, my dad's still pretty strong for his age, and pushed my husband out and told him to stop visiting and bothering me. They got into a pretty nasty argument, and my husband said a lot of awful things about me and my family, but eventually, he laughed, and I couldn't be happier about it. I'm just waiting for the divorce to come through so that I never ever have to see this man's face again. Update 7, so, long time no see. This update is long overdue, and I can't believe that I'm finally getting to write this. It's been almost 9 months since the last update, and so much has happened in the course of those 9 months. But thankfully, I'm divorced now, and I'm finally done with my husband, or ex-husband, to be more accurate. He tried his very best to paint me as the villain in our marriage, and acted like I was the selfish one who was trying to keep his son away from him simply because he was a health freak, and I didn't like that about him. His lawyer came up with all sorts of dirty, tricks and lies to make me seem like a bad wife and mother. They tried to make me seem like an insecure woman, and my husband said that I barely did anything for him and only accused him of cheating on me, which is a blatant lie. And apparently, I also have an eating disorder and was well on my way to becoming obese, which probably would have happened by now had my husband not intervened. Looking back on it now, I'm just amazed that he could say such horrible things about me without batting an eye and try to make me the bad guy after how I'd taken care of him all these years. But honestly, it didn't matter since I had the truth on my side. I had all the texts and evidence of how he used to treat me. All my friends knew that I was the one who used to do all the work around the house and even had a job where he would do nothing to help me out. My parents and neighbors had witnessed firsthand that he had the capacity to be violent and brash when he lost his temper, and since he was a pretty well-built man, I could have easily been hurt that time he'd pushed me to enter the house. And even my CO workers knew how he had lied and badmouthed me online just to get me in trouble at work. I had evidence to back me up, whereas he had absolutely nothing to substantiate his claims, so he'd already lost there. As far as our son, he didn't stand a chance to get full custody anyway since he was still a baby, and he needed his mother close by. And on top of that, all my husband's behavioral issues just made it easier for me to win full custody. My husband still has visitation rights, but they're going to be supervised until I deem him fit enough to be on his own with our son, which is probably not going to happen for a really long time. What's funny to me is that the thing that started this whole issue was my weight, and I've gone back to my pre-pregnancy body. Not that I care, but the only difference is that I didn't have anyone bugging me and making me feel bad for gaining weight constantly. So I'm actually feeling a lot better about myself. I'm happy that he's gone now, and I can finally move on with my life, eat what I want, and wear what I want. Since I'm entitled to alimony and child support both, I'm choosing to save it all for my son's future since I got the promotion and raise that my husband had tried so hard to prevent from happening. I've even moved out of my parents' place and found a smaller apartment for myself and my son, but since it's just the two of us now, smaller works. Now I don't know what the future holds, but I'm going to take care of my son better and raise him to be a way better man than his father. That's for sure. Your husband sounds like he's obsessed with your body and how you look more than you as a person. He seems really shallow. Opinion 2, absolutely the best decision of your life. You do not need to stay with people who ruin your mental health just for their own likes and pleasures.